Yes. Another humbling day in paradise. So I want to speak real quick upon changes. I notice like a lot of us, we get into a lot of conflict over things that's out of our control. And sometimes we don't realize that we're about to get into a conflict over something that neither one of us at the end of the conflict could resolve. And in doing this, you come to see that it's not really the fact of resolving, but more of the actual engaging in the conflict. There's a lot of people that's just conflicting ass people. And these people now, they always seem to like keep dramas into their life, or really, I'm not going to say dramas in a sense, but stay into the objective side of life. Those type of people now, they're the ones that's always running around trying to change something. They want to change everything they see, everything they encounter, because that's just their nature. And you got to realize how their nature is, because if you don't, you get caught up in their situation and it really don't really have any merits to do with you. So you come to realize that a lot of people out here, that they push their will or impose their will onto you. And in doing so, it pull you now into a karmatic situation where you get yourself involved in something that really don't have nothing to do with you. And when you do that, now you bring other things onto yourself, because you could be in a state of ascension where you're going through, it's called a peace stage. You go through a peace stage where everything in you become one. And in doing so now, you become united and you give off a radiance. Because most of the time, when you start talking, when you're interacting, when you're doing things, you emitting energy, you're not receiving. And so most people stay in a state of emitting because they don't like themselves, or they don't like certain things within themselves, so they can't really make a full grasp of what reality is, because they always redefining what the creator or whatever is here already. Instead of accepting it, they redefine it. They try to make excuses for it. So you got to be careful when you get into situations like that, because these can also now put an adverse effect, like I said, into your life, because it really wasn't part of your ancestral path or your destiny. So when you take these extra U-turns or side roads or detours, all you do is waste time upon what you got to do. Everybody has their own puzzles to resolve that is given to them as part of their life cycle, because we all have a magnetic field around us. This magnetic field now is sent information. This information pertains to what you have to do for you to get yourself to the next level. But it's not for that person to do and that person to do. It's for you to do. Once you do that, everybody else move up now. You understand? So you could be hindering the whole growth cycle of the evolution of humanity by you procrastinating. So you got to realize that you're not just fucking yourself up, you fucking it up for us. You understand? You got to understand these things, because a lot of us, we never really got the full grasp and understanding of what growing is, what it meant to be an adult. And so we never really went through an initiation or a rite of passage. For you to really grow, you have to understand what a rite of passage is. And this now, you go out and you face all your fears. You see, a lot of us hear the story of the Africans, back in the tribal days, that they sent their little boys out at 13 to go and hunt or in the wilderness for 7 days or whatever. And they got to survive out there, feed off the land and make fire for heat and all this stuff, ward off predators. And really, excuse me, what really we missing out that story is that the rest of the family is plotting. They go in the woods and they set up like actual events that's going to scare the shit out of that person, but it's not something to make them run scared. It's something they can't turn around. They have to go forward and face it. So these now will make that person take out a lot of superstitions out of himself, a lot of beliefs, Because most of our fears is because of the simple fact we're contemplating what's going to happen before it happens. So we jittery and we get nervous because of that. But in reality, you can't contemplate the future. There's nobody that can really prophesize what you're going to do. So the most thing you could do is accept things. Once you accept things, you wind up unifying with it. And even the opposing force sometimes can't really understand what just happened because you just transmuted the energy, and it has no choice now but to transmute itself to fit your energy. So you won't have that opposing force and you out here trying to change the world. I'm not saying the world don't need changing, but there's people assigned to those duties. You got to know what's your duty in reference to you wasting your time in life. So if you're not accomplishing nothing, not just saying within your own household or within yourself personally, outside, helping people, doing things for the young youths, helping animals. There's so many different aspects and frequencies to it. You could go on and on. So you got to look into these things. If you're not really paying attention to those while you're still trying to survive and make the bills and take care of your family, these more is what you're going to be needing to accomplish for you to fulfill everything you need to get to where the levels you trying to get. Because remember now, we could watch videos and we could read books. So this gives you the philosophy and the theology, but you need the hands-on training now, so that's why we set up our altars. You practice, you fuck up really. Everything you're going to do is going to be a fuck up for a long time, because the fuck up is the correct way to do it. Because once you do the fuck up, you know not to do those no more. But if you're going around thinking you know what you're doing and you fucking up, you won't know you fucking up because you're thinking you know what you're doing. It's that simple. So at first, you got to realize when you venture into anything, it's the same scenario like the first time you ride a bike. When you get on it, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to fall and bust your ass. So don't think that you're doing things correctly, even when you're thinking about helping somebody. Sometimes you helping somebody could be hurting somebody. And you got to know sometimes to reach out and help somebody that's in need because they're trying to call out in their need. So you follow your soul. Go with your heart. And you will see it lead you to not just where you need to be, but it also take you on your path of destiny, and that's where you want to be. So all these things is important for what you're trying to do in life and as far as an ascension. So now that part is really important because that's why people go for change and seek to be different from everybody and put themselves in a different social class, a different economic class, when in reality it's only a higher self and a lower self. Both of those is achieved in the same person. You understand? Now look at it, the higher self as you got the day side of you of the calipop of the tree of life, or the day tree, and that's what you see when the light is on. But then you have the back side of you, which now is the opposite, the reverse energy of everything, and it's now the night side of you, the dark side. But they work together. You can't deny your night side or your dark side because they're the ones that keep you alive. They're the real you understand? Because when you go to sleep, it's your spirit that warns you. It's your spirit that gives you the creative energy you need to think. It's the creative spirit to give you promotions. It's the creative spirit to be nice and love. All of this take place within the dark of yourself, creation, just like the dark womb. It's the yoni of the whole thing. Just like the yoni need pleasure, you look at pleasure as a violent act, which it is. You pound on the pussy, but you get creation, beauty. That's harmony. Just like nature itself is a destructive force, and it causes hurricanes and typhoons, but it also brings about new life. So with that in mind, you will understand how change works. The 4 seasons is about change, really. So these changes now is 4 changes that you got to realize you yourself and the human body go through too. So if you could understand that you're going through these 4 changes too, you would accept changes as far as not feeling depressed, not feeling insecure, and thinking that this is just another chapter in your life, just like the season change. You're going through it. It could be you're up, you could be you're down, you could be just cruising along. These changes now is affected by what house the sun is in the months of the zodiac. So pay attention to the house that you're in for that month, because it brings about most of the time the troubles you're going to face as far as in the Tuat and the underworld. You see, what happens is a lot of us don't realize that we go to the underworld and the Tuat because it's purposely put in the consciousness by the God. You know, I'll say that's Cal Naranajan. He's the one now from the astral world that could control illusions. You know, he's in the dragon. So what happens is you're now being erased. Your mind is being erased after you come from the underworld. Some people have visions of it and, you know, little flashes of it or even get down there. But eventually everybody go there but not have recollection of it. So each month you go through a different zodiac sign. You face a different beast or what I say gatekeeper from the underworld, and you face new challenges. And now these is happening being that the underworld is in the astral world one level up. It permeates down later into who you are. So literally you're redesigning, you're reprogramming yourself while you're sleeping and you don't know that. You're literally a computer, and you have inside of you a systems administrator, which is your soul. And your system administrator, while you're sleeping, be up there tweaking everything, going through the real rough shit while you down here experiencing the effect of that cause. So I want you to understand how things work. And the system designer makes everything cater to what your inner self needs. So if you think you're going through something because somebody did it to you, one, you got your will and you got your compulsion and you got your choice. All three of those is what makes up the end result. You understand? The will to do it, what compelled you to do it, and finally the choice that you make. That's what you got to curb, your choices. All of those now, once you start being in the underworld from making the wrong choices in this physical world, you won't make them in the underworld. These help correct you. You coming back now in yourself as you awake. It's not fully you. You got a whole bunch of spirits and information you retrieve from the astral world or the Akashic records of experience, and you re-put it back into yourself. You feel renewed, refreshed. Sometimes you wake up feeling tired and worn out, like you want to sleep more energy than what you woke up with. And that goes to show you was in the underworld being tested. You was going through different situations, aside from your regular dream, because your mind could project conscious dreams to you that reflects really your reality of what you see. That's basic dreams, where it's your consciousness telling you something you didn't accomplish that you were supposed to face, and it will come back to you in the dream. It don't mean exactly what you see in the dream. Never look at your dream that way, because dreams are symbols. And the only symbols the conscious dream could use is what it sees and what you see around you. So it's going to use your family member, your wife, and all this other shit to give you the story or the symbols, but it doesn't mean that. Usually dreams work in parts. You get them in like one part now, another part later. But the way it works is the same way like the laws of attraction and willing work. When you want something, you think about it and you let it go out into the ethers, and it goes out and you get back the result. But now with dreams, if you hold your dreams, yes sir, if you hold your dreams, what happens is now you calcify it, and now it comes to you. All the other parts have to meet with that part, like a puzzle or a cloud getting more denser and denser till you get the whole thing. But now with those, you will understand that with dreams now, we forget about them and try to ponder just on that part. And so we let it go, and it evaporates, and we never get the whole story of what we're trying to figure out. And that's how come now it's hard for us. But if you hold your dream and get all the parts to it, wait for a while, it'll come to you. Even if you don't expect it in the way it did, all of a sudden you will say to yourself, oh shit, my dream just made sense. Oh, I got it now. You just got to hold it and wait. And those is important. Don't think they're not, because they hold the key to your gate. You know, understand? Till you get to the next chapter or the next level of you. So once you reach a certain level of yourself now, and you into the ascension process, let me take you into there a little bit. You see, by you accepted all these without trying to make change, because when you was young, you was about making change. But as you grow, you realize there's nothing to change, because this is a matrix and you're living in your mind and you're being tested. So once you realize that and you put aside changes, you start the ascension now of figuring what direction you're going, which is up. When you look up, there's only nothing up there but except for you to figure out, what the fuck am I going to do? So you realize in your soul body now, you have a way of going up through meditation, through astral projection, through going within yourself. Once you learn these things now and you start the ascension process, you slowly leave yourself and you go through these challenges like you do in the underworld, and you meet higher beings. These higher beings also now give you information, teaches you different perception of using your inner muscles and your body like you never used it before. You also now release the soul, which is able to take earth, air, fire, water and turn it alchemically into things that your body needs to help free up yourself. And they'll keep challenging you with something until you get it right. So all of us that's living in the same repetitive cycle is done on purpose until you get it right. That's the science of that. So once you pass all of that now and you make it up to a certain level, you get to a level that you beyond karma. You beyond understanding. And this is where a lot of people get it fucked up, like people is reptilian and they clones or aliens and all this shit. As long as they have intelligence like I am, you really left the feelings in fire world and you in the air world now. Honestly, like you really not governed by the laws of the government of America, of the world, because you see beyond it. You took yourself out the picture. What made you believe everything was because you were stuck in the picture and that was your only thing to stand on. But as you grew in your knowledge and your self astrally leaving, you leave that sphere. Once you leave that sphere, you're not governed by the laws there, and you don't have too much effect on it more than to help and to heal. You become now what's called a spiritual administrator. These beings that's higher than there, that the CIA, everybody's trying to infiltrate and get to learn their information, they get in touch with specific people who become like system administrators that control the back door of the matrix and help make everything go on. They make life exist and they could take away life. That's a fact. And they know all of this. And they could change the UGAs. You have your Iron Age, your Gold Age, and your Silver Age. All of those determine your consciousness and how long you live. Right there, we're talking about the binary orbit between Sirius A and our sun. You understand? With it going from a oval shape, the closer they are in shape is the higher our consciousness as it go. The lower our consciousness. As they get closer towards each other, we get into what's called the golden age, and we live to be 100,000 years old. In the silver age, you live to be 1,000 years old. This is important because these is done through your blood. The air, it got a way of coding it. Once they code the air now carry a certain element in it that we feed off of. So if we're in the Iron Age like we are now, the air carry iron in it that change our chromosomes, and we wind up getting it through our lungs, and we wind up now needing iron in our blood to live. So that's why we need iron. But there's going to be a time now where you're not going to use iron, you're going to be using silver. And it's not you going to know it, it's that your DNA is and your chromosome is going to change. And the middle of your heart is going to form like a little chromosome circle or square. We call it the house. And that's going to hold the main symbol, which will be for iron, Fe or whatever it is. Iron, silver. And then it's the same thing when we finish the silver age, our system changed and our blood changed, and we will have to live off of gold. That's why you don't see no gold in the world. They stashing it for when they get into the gold age. Once the gold age is, remember, you're talking about you living 100,000 years. So I don't know. I guess we'll be intelligent enough to survive because it's the age of beauty, intelligence, and everything. But I do believe the missing gold is going towards the ages, because nobody speak up on the UGAs and its influences on us, or if it's real or not. But everybody know it exists with Atlantis and all this other shit. And that wasn't so long ago. So ages go by fast. And you got to remember, the spiritual system administrators who deal with the matrix on the highest level, they got the keys to touch the buttons to switch it up at any time. So they could switch up your DNA and your chromosome at any time. Not saying your government could do it, because they've been trying to crack that for the longest. They can't do it. But there is spiritual people, gurus that's here, that's chosen by higher beings, and communicate with them, that they give them keys and boxes and squares and triangles that hold the keys to everything. And so we got to realize, trying to change anything is the only thing you need to do is change yourself, because that's what they're trying to teach you. Once you change yourself, you change everything else. You come up and you get yourself into a better position. You understand what I'm saying? Anyways, that's about it for right now. University of Conscious Science, one love.